Welcome to Tomar, Portugal, home of the Templars. Today, we're going to discover and uncover the mysteries that lay hidden here. Without further ado, let's get into it. Tomar, the last Templar stronghold. The Knights Templar are arguably one of the most mysterious organizations to have ever lived on this planet. They were originally established to protect the pilgrims of Jerusalem, yet spiraled out to be one of the first financial institutions that indebted kingdoms, which also ultimately led to their downfall when Pope Clement V and Philip IV of France kind of said, well, you know, they've gotten too powerful and their esoteric belief systems don't really align with the church anyways, so they need to go. By that time, however, Tomar has already been established as one of the formidable headquarters of the Knights Templar. It was founded in 1160 by Gualdim Paish, who was a Grand Master of the order at the time. Now, why was the city of Tomar chosen to be a Templar stronghold? This is where it gets kind of mystical. First of all, Tomar sits on 7 hills, which is not so random as you may think, as Jerusalem and Rome also share the same feature. So what's not to love about Tomar? Mystical implications, Knights Templar, ancient ruins that this town supposedly sits on. Also a lot of connection to secret passageways and symbolism, and that's exactly where we're going to start. So this is the Templars' castle. Wow. I've just heard we got to go around for the other one, for the Convento de Cristo, but this castle alone is pretty mystical. This is actually quite interesting, and I think a lot of people are going to walk right past this. You clearly see, though, the alterations they made to even build the castle on top of this hill. There's a big foundation, and I wonder if there are these layers of architecture beneath it that have also been filled up or used as part of this foundation of the castle the Templars built. Okay, next to me is actually a sign, and it's interesting. They say here that the Order of the Knights Templar was disbanded in 1319, and after which, now's the interesting part, the castle was transferred to the Portuguese Order of Christ, becoming its headquarters in 1357. That means that this whole area was actually really the stronghold of what remained of the Knights Templar. It makes one wonder what it really looked like in its prime, you know? Obviously now it looks a little bit burned, actually, and very destroyed. But what did this place look like during its prime? What stories are still here? What stories can we still find? Maybe in the Convento de Cristo we'll find some answers. What is that? Right by the entrance to the rotunda was this mysterious wooden instrument. I asked the guide that was there, and he actually told me that it was there to enhance the sound of the organ. I don't know if it was that. It's a good time to mention that I didn't even see an organ there. And besides, the Templars were masters of stone masonry. I highly doubt that they would create something out of wood for such a symbolistic reason, especially for something so permanent as an organ in a church. These walls were actually all remade in the 1500s, and this is perhaps the only remnant that the actual Templars created. After that was the Order of Christ, and under Don Manuel I. So what does this depict? Maybe this can help us. Okay, yeah, organ tube. That's this one. I don't know if that's true. Mount of Olives is Adam and Eve. Okay. Calvary, so it should be this one. Saint Christopher. As the story goes, Saint Christopher was a giant that helped people cross the river. One day, a young child appeared, and naturally Saint Christopher helped him. Yet he struggled to do so. It was the hardest thing he ever carried. And arriving on the other side, the child smiled at him and said, "You didn't just carry a child, you carried me, and with me the weight of the world." And the child disappeared. This giant actually received the name Christopher at a later stage. The name actually means bearer of Christ. What is more interesting about this depiction by the Templars left here, however, is the choice that just this fresco remained. And it didn't remain intact. The only thing that kind of remains is that Christ child. But Saint Christopher has been burned out, almost as if they didn't enjoy the Templars to depict anything else except for Jesus himself. It is also interesting that Saint Christopher carries a whole tree and not just a staff, symbolizing that perhaps he stood for something way greater than what the Christian stories about Saint Christopher tell us today. Who is Don Lobo Diaz de Sousa? He was actually the last cleric master of the Order of Christ. He was well connected to the royal family, and he also apparently rode a unicorn. Yeah. And this is the grave. Wow. And this rotunda as well looks very Moorish, very Arabian, and not Christian either. Which makes sense given that this church was supposed to reflect the Temple of Solomon. Yet all of these don't really, they all look like they've been from Jerusalem or the Arabic countries. Interesting. I stayed in this rotunda for a solid half hour. I was so mesmerized by all the details and paintings that they've left, and I've attempted to decipher the symbology of it. It's remarkably beautiful, yet all of this would be way too much for this video. I mean, even this whole place resembles the Temple of Solomon, so support the movement for us to dive even deeper. What a fascinating place. I wonder what was kind of new and kind of old. Chapter house. There's one aspect to these types of discoveries that are, I think, somewhat underrated, and that is the intuition or the feeling that a place evokes. Now, you can call this all rationally, like, oh, there's architecture, and architecture makes us feel a certain way, which is true. And you can call this mystical, whatever you want. However, when I'm standing here, which is the old chapel, the chapter house, which is necessarily also, maybe, I'm not too sure, but my intuition is telling me that maybe this was a place where like the highest Knight Templar orders were elected, because that was called the chapter. And this is the chapter house, so it only makes sense if that kind of resonates. Now, the feeling I have inside of my stomach, and this is going to make some people feel some type of way, is very strong, as if there's a really high energy in this place. Now, maybe that was because there was prayed in here so much, or who really knows. But this is really triggering something in my stomach, in my solar plexus area. And I wanted to capture that, regardless of what you may think about that, or what I may think about that during editing. The feeling is there. And I want to acknowledge that feeling. There is something I do have. And I whipped it out in the rotunda as well, which is this pair of dicyanin goggles. Now, what I see here is that the building seems to have an outer glow. Besides the usual sky, there seems to be like a glow right here. Like, you see this color in the sky? That's just blue. And with these glasses, it appears as if this building is emitting a glow. Without, see, no correlation, the sky looks regular with this on. It appears if there's a small glow. The Convent of Christ, headquarters of the Knights Templar. It's still kind of a bit surreal to be here. I've been wanting to come here for such a long time. And it's really worth the trip. I mean, I still feel a special thing about this place. I can't really put my finger on it. I'll watch my dreams tonight. Maybe they'll tell me something.
Para. Tens de fazer tudo igual. Se meteres a mão, olha. É igual, mete a mão, isso. Hã? Muita precisão.
Muita precisão.
E não havia nada, não havia. Tudo à mão. Olho, mão.
Mão.
Olho, mão.
Em ferramentas antigos, é? Ai. Epa.
Por isso é que eram templários.
Ai, os templários foi carpintários bem, né?
Tudo, muito bom.
Muito.
Muito bom, Jesus.
Even though my Portuguese is still very humble, it doesn't take a lot of language to understand that what the Templars have constructed here is just marvelous. And yes, maybe we lack the patience, maybe we lack the funds, but the attention to detail and the love that can be felt in every single brick is just something else.
This window really fascinates me. It's something about it. It looks like there's like the way it's sculpted to me appears as if someone kind of attempted to get more energy into the building. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but like just by the details and like the swirls that are around it, it looks like there's an attempt to kind of bundle the light to like a certain point. And I bet that in that rotunda, because that's the window that goes to the rotunda, it shines on Jesus, or it shined on something before Jesus was there that was potentially something that created some magical moments, maybe during a solstice, since I would assume that the Templars were also very well versed in that. And then the question is, with the Moorish style that's there, how old is it? Every time I come closer to this building in particular, which is the chapter house, this feeling arises. And it's strange, like I'm not forcing it, I'm not sitting here trying to feel a type of way, yet whenever I'm here, I do, and whenever I step into this direction, it's really interesting to observe the feelings that you have when you're in a place, not just old ones, but regular ones. This feels like it goes through my entire body. And again, I don't really have an explanation for that. So this is the aqueduct. In the 1600s, they've built this aqueduct to supply the Convento de Cristo with water. And look how seamlessly it blends in. It's very amazing. You have this place, and then it just seams right into the building, which again is really remarkable. This whole aqueduct is 6 kilometers long in total. Here you can see kind of like the structure from the other side. So above that would be water. Now the Moors were also experts at that, you know, the Europeans as well at one point. Yet I do wonder why it so seamlessly fits into the building. It looks as if it was always part of it. Ah, the Templar ice cream. I love that.
It's interesting to walk through a place that is so filled with symbology. It makes me want to flip over every stone and interpret every room.
wonder what these are.
Yet one thing that is clearly symbolic is the manilin window. Especially its artwork, where an old man appears to be trapped but looks like algae. There are various theories about who this man could be. My first impression was it could be a play on the world tree, Wotan and Yggdrasil from the Germanic mythology, whilst other theories say it's simply a picture of the designer himself.
This place is a lot of things. It's very big, very detailed, so much symbology. It's interesting to look at these places and to really imagine what they may have been. Even in this room, there's this big wooden roof, and it's super empty, and I wonder what that may have looked like at one point in history. It's places like these that really make me wonder about history, about the real purpose of things and how they lived and why they constructed things in the way that they did. I'm going from how did they build it to why did they build it and how does it make me feel. So that's the development of my career, I guess. And at the end of the day, of course, I still wonder how they did it because it's really, really impressive. Yet I find even more important why. And looking at these structures, I mean, what? That rotunda? That's crazy. It's crazy. And these places are all over. Why did they do it? And how does it make you feel? It's like it's the same guy holding up the tree, but hidden here in a room that no one really cares about. Let me place my bald head into this thing. Okay, perfect. That was it. That was Convento de Cristo. I walked around for a few hours, just in time before all the Spanish travel buses arrived, so that was good. It was a fascinating place, especially that chapter house, because that evoked a lot of emotion within me, as well as the rotunda, of course. I mean, that place was... I haven't seen anything like it. And I think there's so much more mystery that goes into this. So I'll see what I can find given the solstice alignment with the window, because I feel like there may be something there, especially given that it kind of fits from the sun position. If it's, because the sun right now, I'm looking at it, and the window is somewhere there. So maybe there could actually be a correlation with the solstice or the equinox. I'll look into that. Maybe someone has something on this. Besides that, of course, this was the Templar headquarters. Sadly, the chambers of Prince Henry, they were not accessible, and they also look pretty much in ruins. And I think there's a lot more to the story as well, to Prince Henry and why the Portuguese maritime expeditions were also launched from here, from Tomar. In general, the city feels very mystical. You know, it kind of reminds me of Sintra, but a bit more low-key. Because Sintra, the mystery just screams at you, and here it's more hidden behind things. And it's super interesting for sure, especially this rebranding, the Order of the Christ, what they did. It's fascinating. And I think all of the resonance, the frequency, all the other things that make this building so special, that kind of go under at this marvel of architecture, is really fascinating as well. What did you think of the place? Just from the videos, have you ever visited it? What was something that came up for you? What questions do you still have about this structure? And with that, maybe we'll still head to the church, but we'll see. The Convento de Cristo is a wrap though. Let's go.